I want to start with the basics. So, whatever problem you're experiencing, or whatever negative emotion or feeling, and what to do about it to get to the root cause, because that's the only way you're going to really be free of it or understand it and bring peace to it. So, first off, I'm going to start off with a mantra. Problems bring up feelings in us that existed before the problem ever happened. So the feeling is going to say something negative about you, but it's not true about who you really are. But it does come from a valid place in past experience, which will eventually uncover. A conflict that I very often find is in relationships is the difficulty in trusting others and trusting their partner. And they're just fixated on their partner, even though the partner's not really doing anything to break their trust, but they just naturally have trust issues, or maybe they're doing something, but it's very minimal. And they're fixated on what their partner is doing behind their backs, or maybe it's just obsessive fears of their partner leaving them and they feel like they're not good enough. And they think like, okay, if I can trust my partner, if my partner does these things, then I will feel good about myself. I will feel peace. But actually, that's just the Band-Aid. And now I'm going to tell you a specific process that I use to help you identify your underlying feelings. And it's called the PEWF POOF process. So P is problem, E is emotion, and W is worst fear, worst case scenario. So for example, problem is I don't trust my partner. And it brings up probably anger, frustration, or anxiety. That's the emotion. Now you want to stretch that problem all the way to your worst fear, worst case scenario. In that situation of a partner not trusting their other partner, they're probably worst fear that the other person cheats on them, is not faithful to them, or their partner leaves them for someone else. And then you want to think about if your worst fear actually came true, hypothetically speaking, how would that make you feel about yourself? That's the last part, the F. Now, that's where the core pain is, core feeling. You must identify the feeling because the feeling came before the problem. So even fixing the problem does not fix the feeling. Okay, it's just the Band-Aid. So if your partner were to leave you in that example, that person would likely feel like they're worthless, like they were not good enough, or that there's something wrong with them. They may be fixated on the other person betraying them, like, oh, how dare you? But deep down, they feel like, well, maybe I was not enough. Maybe there's something wrong with me. So the whole part of that process of like problems bring up feelings in us that exist before the problem ever happened. Another way to better understand that is the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the situation is valid and legit, is making you feel a certain way, but there's the 20% emotional component that was already there. That's where you want to see like, okay, if it actually happened, hypothetically speaking, how would that make me feel about myself? That is the core issue. I have clients that are getting that difficulty in trusting others, trusting their partner, and it's something very nominal, and they get really, really angry with their partner, fixating, they can't let things go. They can be violent physically and emotionally over their partner doing really minimal things. But when it comes down to it, when they were a child, after the worst things possible, where they were molested and then their parents brushed it off, laughed because they thought they didn't take them seriously, slapped them in the face because they thought they were lying. And these people know about what happened, but they don't feel any true pain about what their parents did or did not do for them, but not protecting them, but not acknowledging what happened to them. They don't feel any anger about that. So then that anger has to go somewhere. So that anger goes towards their partner. It is you who did this to me. You betrayed me. That pain of betrayal gets projected onto their partner. And that way they can heal that internal pain of betrayal, unworthiness, and shame. They can heal it externally. They don't need to feel the pain of shame and unworthiness. They can project it onto their partner and then heal that pain outside of themselves. That way they can have the illusion of healing that pain, but not actually having to feel it. So that's a whole deal of what we experience in our problems. A lot of them, our problems are just projections of our unresolved and unacknowledged feelings of our inner child. So thereby, even if we fix the problem, we're doing a disservice because we're actually trying to heal our inner child, but not directly, is by fixating on the problem. And that does nothing for our inner child. Our inner child needs to be acknowledged directly. We need to see how this trigger, as this emotional trigger, is bringing up an unacknowledged feeling, a compartmentalized and feeling of our inner child and use that trigger as an opportunity, as an access point to acknowledge our inner child. Because no matter what the emotional explosion or pain that's happening in the trigger, it helps us to see the pain of our inner child. And remember that all pain is the same of our traumas. It is the pain of being unacknowledged, pain of feeling unseen and unheard. So therefore, what does pain want? To be acknowledged, to feel seen and heard. With my wife, she needs to be in control to feel safe because her parents were highly narcissistic. And so she needs to feel that to feel safe. But that excludes me and makes me feel like I don't have a voice, that I don't matter, that I am unworthy. But that's my access point to feel my inner child's feelings. I feel like, okay, let me take this time to feel it. Obviously, I need to talk to my wife and tell her, these are the things that I need. I will not be quiet and just forget about them, because my wife just needs to have things a certain way, needs to be in control to feel safe. And I got to set some healthy parameters in our relationship and make sure that I do honor my voice and feeling. But having said that, I can tell that my reaction to her behavior goes to another level because it also comes from my inner child pain of feeling unseen and unheard. And that's where I need to use that as an access point, as a window of opportunity to acknowledge my inner child's feelings. Because when I was not acknowledged, my feelings were not acknowledged growing up. But if I run away from my feelings or if I project it onto my wife 100%, then I'm doing the same thing to my inner child that was done to him. I got to use this trigger as an opportunity to acknowledge these feelings and to feel them without trying to change them, without trying to resist them, without trying to actually even to heal them. No, just feel them, because that's all the feelings want, is to feel seen and heard. That's all they want. If you want to fix your feelings, and your feelings are the presence of your inner child, you are telling your inner child that they are broken, that it's wrong to feel the way that they do. And that's already their core pain, which is feeling that their feelings were never acknowledged. So you want to change the script and to feel your feelings without trying to change them, without trying to resist them, without trying to avoid them. Complete integration, to acknowledge that feeling and make that feeling a part of yourself. Because, again, those feelings are the presence of your inner child, and their core pain is feeling unseen, unheard, and unacknowledged. So if you accept your feeling as a part of yourself, you are thereby accepting your inner child as a part of yourself. And that is the highest form of acknowledgement that they could ever receive.
If you like this episode, put your thumbs up and subscribe to this channel.